That's a good question, yeah. I thought we were, okay, that's fine. Sung was just asking, because one of the things which may be unusual is the fact that Sung is speaking in English today. Although he's clearly clever, clearly able to speak Korean. So maybe this is the first question we should address first. Why are we both speaking in English today?
It's just to make it easier and more comfortable for us to have a conversation, because it's a talk between us. That's the reason why, actually. But I think in my work, I use both languages, and sometimes 3 or 4 different languages, and subtitles. For example, in Washing Bread and Corn, this information the story that I tell is a story that if I show it in certain countries, it's not something that you know at all. And if you show it to a certain generation, some generation know about this story and some generation don't know about this story. So what kind of story or what kind of language or what kind of information do you tell to who is always the context that I work under.
In terms of translation, and in the way that then maybe one step further, translation of culture, of different contexts, and also of different generations, different experiences.
He raised his arms. Cold wind from the door blew into his armpits. He breathed in shortly, and he breathed out longer to keep the heat inside of him. Bring rice, he ordered the mother. We do not have rice. We only have kamini. Bring the kamini then. The men were hungry. One man's hunger might have been silent, but the bellies of many men could be.
Yes. For example, I think I use 2 subtitles here, left and right, and the way I wrote both texts, so it's not really a translation. So I was thinking about, so they're both, they have a poetic rhythm. It's a poetic text, I think, and you think about how many words should fit in, because it's a limited. It's kind of like a poem, like where you have lines and a page, and how many words should be in one line, and each stanza. So but it's also spoken at the same time. And which language do you have to speak when these subtitles are running through? So I'm interested in this play, which is very different from now. That's why I get confused, because I have to talk to you, but I feel like I'm still talking to this person at the same time. And anyway, so there's a delay in this kind of conversation. Also, Rilke, he was living in Prague, for example, and he was writing in German. And this sort of situation is not necessarily contemporary. I think it's a situation that but they have this kind of duality going on in terms of language, and which language do you use to be public. For example, in Germany, there are a lot of Korean immigrants, which were the descendants of the immigrants who went there as miners and nurses. In New York City, there are a lot of, and of course there are many different professions, but the New York delis and laundromats are often owned by Korean people. Nowadays, you see a lot of Koreans in Berlin or New York, but the reason why they come are different. So I was interested in these, depending on the period, what moves people from one place to another, and then when they have the offspring, such as my niece, then what does it mean for her to be there, or, you know.